gotta work on myself, 'cause I'm falling apart. Please wake me up, 'cause I'm slipping. Can't fight this feeling off no more. But I'm not going to give up and fall. Rise above the dome. Need all my challenges and search for my strength. I defeat them all. I'm never ever gonna hide no more. I come to love myself again. Yeah. For all the things I didn't know, the pain, the hurt, I let it go. Start to believe in myself, and life will be sweet again. So sweet again. Above it all, beat all my challenges and search for my strength. I defeat them all. I never ever gonna hide no more. I come to love myself again. For all the things I didn't know, the pain, the hurt, I let it go. Let it go. And I start to believe in myself, and life will be sweet again. Oh, na na, oh na 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 na. When all I see is darkness and gloom, yeah, I'll be running from my doom. Oh na 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 na. But now it's time to live my life, but now I know what I need to do. Oh na 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 na. When all I see is darkness and gloom, yeah, I'll be running from my doom. Oh na 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 na. But now it's time to live my life, but now I know what I need to do.
Hey everybody. I was hoping that the Blue Jay would show some gumption here, but I don't think he has it in it. Let's see. It's funny how close he got there, right? He got so close he was still putting all the risk in, but he didn't have the juice to finish up, did he? He didn't quite have enough juice to finish up. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. Today is a beautiful Monday, October 19. 19, everybody, it's got the 19 in there. Gotta love that. Gotta love that. And today is episode... no idea. Don't even have it up. It would take me a long time. Someone's going to type in the chat and they're going to say, but happy October 19. That is a big one. That is a big one. We are now in the waxing moon, which means all is waxing, which is even better. I'm loving the waxing time that we're having. Not to complain about the non-waxing time, the waning time, but the waxing time is definitely one of my favorites. Yeah, the little guy's got a lot more bravery than that giant blue jay. I believe, I'm not just saying this to say the word tit, but I'm pretty sure that's a titmouse. If it's not a titmouse, please correct me. But I'm pretty sure that what you just saw there, which you cannot see now, so I should take it off the camera, is in fact a titmouse. Welcome everybody. We still have, it's still going. It's still going. I bet you that those coals are still hot. I bet you that I could text Brent right now and say, Brent, are those coals still hot? And he'd be like, yep, they still are. We had an amazing fire this weekend. Third New Moon Gathering. It's really, really, really awesome. We found a new spot. It has this clearing, so the sky was opened up, so you were looking through the epidermis of the canopy. But don't wait. Let me get your camera on. You can't just come down there when I don't have the camera on, buddy. See, now I scared him away because here he comes. Here he comes. Drum roll, please, ladies and gentlemen. The Blue Jay is about to show some balls. Yeah, baby. That's right. He did it. Good job, buddy. Proud of him. See, he was a little camera shy. Let's see if we can tell what episode it is. Today's episode. People in the chat don't know either. And that's okay. It's okay, It's just a number. All the numbers are pretty cool. It's always good to say a number. Yeah. So someone will type in the episode, I'm sure. Also, it looks like, am I only getting Facebook? No, it looks like we're getting Facebook. No, I'm getting YouTube and D Live. I'm probably not getting Facebook. I've heard that people are not getting Facebook. It's episode 168. Thanks, Spacey. Episode 168. Waxing in the moon or something like that. Something about waxing the moon. There's a little, 168. Thanks, Gnosis. Hi, Guy Bear. Good to see you. We missed you today. This weekend. So yeah, it was a great crowd. Some new faces. Really great to see some new faces there. I always love it when there's new faces that are coming in too. And there's probably 15 of us at all in the actual ceremony part. We've had a lot of people come back and forth and in and out. But yeah, that was the gist of what we were doing. Yeah. So. And it's not even over, guys. It's not rolling to a waxy moon. Thanks, Mansfield. I should have this, I should have this because I got this killer notebook. But I've been, it's been crazy. It's been good crazy. Edits of the book. Been doing some of those over the fire. I'd like to shout out to Cindy and Dogmar for helping me with that. We've, in fact, the edits have gone so well that I am officially pre-selling this book. Best Apocalypse Ever is now available for pre-sale. You can buy your own signed copy right now and be the first one to have one of those signed copies. And you do that very easily. You do that by going to my website and you will find it right there. Yeah, in fact, I'm going to paste this in the chat so you guys can have it. I would love for you to buy this book today. It'd be great. Buy your copy of my book. Isn't this exciting to watch me type? But come on, this is a big deal. It's been a lot of work. This has been so much work. Okay, so it looks like that we are pasting fine to everywhere but Facebook. So people in Facebook, you probably aren't even seeing this. I've heard people written me say, James, we can't see your stream in Facebook, and that is probably why. Yeah, so, but it does look like it went to D Live, and it does look like it went to YouTube. So there you go. But yeah, if you want to buy that book, it'd be great. It's been really epic to write. I can't wait to share it with you. I can't wait to share it to you guys. My friend Rebecca, shout out to Rebecca, of course. Thank you for all your help with the cover and the advice and stuff like that. And just always being there for me. Thanks. Rebecca had asked me, she was like, James, you need to tell me what is the main emotional word. What's the word that you want to convey? That word needs to be the cover, right? And thank you, Tammy, for just buying a copy of my book. I appreciate that. Thank you. If you're like, hey, how do you know that? Because I got the goods, baby. I got the goods. My volume okay? Is everything okay? Probably so. I haven't heard from my good friend Josh today. I hope Josh is in the house. I hope he's doing all right. Oh, there he is. Yep. It's all good. So yeah, and Melanie, Josh, guys, come on. Thank you. Appreciate that. So what is the emotion that I want to convey in this book? Like, what would be the main emotion? And I went through a lot of things. Inspiration, which is a good part of that. you can't really call decode an emotion. So I came up with illumination. I say illumination, but some people are mad about that word. I've noticed that we have an argument, which is fine, with understanding. People think that understanding is bad because it should be understanding, and I don't have a problem with that, but I'd like to give you my thoughts on that. And illumination versus illumination. And I'm happy to, in fact, chat, feel free to, to joust about this, because you will notice that I don't, the hills that I stand on are usually something that I feel strongly about. In other words, everything else I feel more inclined to just reason it out, and come up with the best approach. But before I get to illumination, I will tell you that understanding does not mean to stand under someone. Understanding means to sink your toes into the soil and to subterraneanly feel the truth. And in my opinion, to call understanding bad is to shame soil, is to shame the subterranean roots that connect us all. So in my opinion, understanding is a much better word, because I cannot understand you. Yeah, I can't. I cannot understand you. I can understand you. I can see the roots that are beneath you. In fact, your roots and my roots touch. We touch fingers, like the Sistine Chapel. Oh, right? There's a reason why Adam doesn't touch God's finger. There's a reason why. It's the same reason that's built into my book, Dojo Earth. Do you realize how? Imagine you're at a, we're going to say soccer, because girls play soccer. Not to say girls can't play football, but girls play soccer. Let's say you're at a soccer game, because guys do too. You're at a soccer game and you're a kid, and your dad notices your shoes are untied, and he walks on the field. And he walks on the field to tie your shoes in the middle of the match. Let's say he was even polite. He was like looking around, made sure that the ball was on the other side of the field, you were on this side of the field, and you ran on the field and you tied your shoes. That would ruin the game. That would ruin the entire purpose why you're here. It's there's a reason why Adam and God don't touch. In fact, that same reason is wrapped into amnesia. The gift that you were given when you came here was amnesia. It was a gift. Some of us like to call that a curse, but those same people like to feel like they're victims. They will victimize themselves into anything. And part of understanding the beauty of mystery, the mistress of mystery, part of understanding the beauty of a woman, it's true, is realizing that the mystery, the abyss, is kind of their essence. It's the bowl is the thing. The bowl itself, the shape of the bowl can be a thing. And you guys, being guys, you never wonder, well, how can the shape of something be a thing? You mean it's just a bowl? It's like, no. The shape of the bowl is the woman. It's not the bowl, it's the shape of the bowl. And it takes us lifetimes to even understand that there could be a difference between these two things. Many men think of women as objects. You were a bowl, but no, she's the shape of the bowl. And each of us have carved out crevices in our own being. And we have those carved out crevices, and Babylon fills those crevices for us. She will fill them whether you want them filled or not, whether you think they should be filled or not. She will offer you the ability to fill them. And if you have an electrical addiction to not being full, let me take it back. If you have an electrical addiction to feeling lack, if you want to feel like you have lack, and when you want to feel like you have lack, you have an electrical, what's the opposite of deficit? Profit. You have a profit of electricity that you do not feel comfortable taking. And most of us have this all the time. They won't say it, but they're explaining, I have too much electricity. I am not worthy. That's a lot. Most of the time it's worth. It doesn't have to be worth. I am not worthy. I am scared. I am not willing to bear the responsibility. These would be three different reasons, which all kind of go down to one, the worth, but I don't mind separating them. I'm not worthy of this electricity. I'm scared of this electricity, or I do not accept the responsibilities of what it might do to others. when we have those philosophies built into our core, our engineering department, they're automatically emptying the airlock and draining your warp core until your electricity is down to a level where you feel safe, where you feel like, okay, I'm no longer afraid. I'm no longer too concerned about the responsibility that my electricity has, right? And then you settle out, you even out. And the entire time, 100% of what happens in victimhood is we sabotage ourselves. And we don't do it for no reason. There's a very, very plain, valid reason for that. It's because our prana economy with ourselves is too high. The rent is too high, right? And we have to shed that until we feel normal again. It's the same thing with adrenaline. When you feel fear, what you're saying is, I have too much adrenaline. I have too much power. I don't like this. I don't like this power I have. I'm going to shed it now. So you shiver. When you shiver, you're burning, you're evaporating calories. You're burning them. You're burning them in the altar of your body. You're placing them in the brazen altar of the body, and you're burning them in fire. You're evaporating them for a purpose. And whether you want to admit it or not, whether you want to freak out over it or not, I don't give a shit. That's spellcraft. What you're doing is spellcraft. You're invoking your will in the world. You're placing that in the world. I invoked the fuck out of my will into this book. For the last year, all of the things that I've been working on, that I've been thinking about, I've been like, this would make sense in my book. This would be a trail. And this is a yellow brick road. My book's a yellow brick road. And that's why we come back to the word illumination. You didn't think I was going to get there, did you? I didn't think I was. I'm surprised I even remember that's what we're talking about. Understanding. Illumination. Now, when you were in victimhood, you think that you were born a shining light, that you were born woke, that you were born totally 100% kick-ass, and that the system cut you down. That the system itself is trying to curtail you. That they're out to get you. They're out to kill you. They're out to menace you. They're out to enslave you. But you've been too smart. You've been too clever. You're too much of a ninja Jackie Chan to compete with a 6,000-year-old death cult that has billions and trillions and quadrillions of dollars, that controls every currency, that controls every piece of media that goes into your mind, your parents' mind, your neighbor's mind. Every single piece of food that you eat, every single thing that you drink. You're under the impression that because of how clever you are, that you've been able to outsmart them this whole time, but they've still managed to get some hits on you. But you were born lit. And the system's holding you down. And it's a beautiful piece of drama. It is. It will get you far. You will build brethrenship. You will build channels where people gather around as you tell them how the jackboots are coming. And the most popular video I ever did, hands down, without any issues, without any withdrawal at all, would have to be the Richie from Boston video. It would have to be. And the 100,000 plus people that watched it wanted more of that from me. They wanted more of the terror that was to befall them. They wanted more of the vampires in the trees and the stories of how it was them that were keeping us down. It was them that were causing us to miss our mark. And one of the reasons why I have such a short fuse with people like Amazing Polly, or even Owen for that matter, is because sometimes you find people that tune in to their audience and they just start to fill the seats and do nothing else but that. Just fill the chair, fill the chair, fill the chair, fill the chair. And you have these gatherings, you have these forces around where the victimhood itself is the uniting force. It's the victimhood that bonds so many people together. It brings them together into a tribe of fear, a tribe of survival. And there's nothing wrong with those tribes. Most of our tribes function that way. The military is one of those tribes. And the Truth Movement has created their own tribes in the same way, the same kind of fashion. And those sell so well. Fear sells so well. And if I wanted to do better at this, when I mean better, what I mean is if I wanted to have more numbers, if I wanted to focus more on the number of influencers I can have, I would have stayed on that Richie from Boston vein. I would have stayed in that fear chalice. And even if I would have been thrown out of that fear chalice like I was, but still managed to catch into Owen Benjamin's fear chalice, I still got thrown out of that one because I started talking about Venus. I started talking about the luminaries. And I was discussing the idea of Prometheus. And that wasn't going to work for his viewers because the tribe was united in the idea of Satan. That Satan itself is their perpetrator. And that their victimhood relies on their chastity from Satan. Right? And then you hear Owen saying things like, if you have sex with your wife, you're a homosexual. And the reason why he says that is because in order to lead people that fear evil, that fear Satan like that, you have to be the most chaste. The person who's the most chaste wins the leadership of that tribe. And the same thing happens with Richie from Boston. The person that's the most afraid, the person that's living out of their car traveling because he's too afraid that they're going to get him, that is the person that's leading the tribe. He's the most afraid. Donald Trump leads the tribe because he saw all the different issues that the tribe has. These issues were created. They were injected. It doesn't matter. These are trends. These are trends like music, like movies, right? It's trends. And Donald Trump, like any politician, looked at the trend and said, what is the trend that I can lead the most at? That I can be the Richie from Boston in the fear, or the Owen Benjamin in the evil, or the amazing Polly in the white hats are here to save you. That those genres are popular genres. They're huge. Zionism, right? The fear of Satan. That's Zionism. That's a huge vein. There's a reason why 6,000 people tune in every day. Because there are 6,000 people that are so terrified of that they have to watch something about Zionism every day. It's an electrical transaction. It has little to do with Owen, Richie, or Trump. It more has to do with the electrical appetite that's underneath the soil. And we see this all the time. I have people that come to these gatherings and they say, I'm here to help, I want to be a part of this. And during the ceremony, they're gone. They're not there. And they're not actually helping. You find they're throwing stones in. And in their mind, in their neocortex, I could not have a conversation with them and say, you are not helping. It's the energy underneath. That's what's causing the appetite. And the fear leader, they're fear leaders. That's a funny term, fear leaders. That's hilarious. Fear leaders. The fear leaders will cheer. Amazing Polly, not once does she wake up and say, I am changing my views, my standpoints, my philosophy so that I can realign something and be popular. Not once does she have that thought. Not once does that come up with Richie's from Boston's thought as he's eating Cheerios. Not once when Owen's milking his goats does he think that. These people sleep at night, just like I do. All of us try and sleep at night. And the way we sleep at night is based on the way our neocortex treats us. Our neocortex treats us nice, it treats us horribly. And that's going to be based on how splintered or non-splintered you've been your entire life, right? Here you go, buddy. You got enough bravery for those? You want to get the second one too? You think you can fit it in there? Damn, nice work, buddy. Yeah, teach a man to fish, and he comes and empties the pond, doesn't he? These people get up, and they're good people. They're good people. And depending on how splintered you are or not splintered you are, depending on how solid your core is or how not solid your core is, your electrical pH, the pH balance of your electricity inside you is going to change, and it's going to give you an appetite. And once you have that electric appetite, you're going to satisfy that appetite. You're not going to eat more, and you're not going to eat less than that appetite. You're going to find that electrical pH that your limbic system's giving you, and your neocortex is going to tell you whatever the fuck it is to convince you to act. And I would argue that even your neocortex lies to you. I would argue this because your neocortex lies to you. I would argue with this because we will not see things that we should see. We will ignore truths that are too painful for us to understand. We will get tripped up in the idea that this is too uncomfortable for our minds to watch. And that's why the behaviorists, the true people that are watching their behavior, they watch their actions. They don't watch their words. Because they realize that the way to see where the boat is going is to watch the boat. Watch the keel. Don't watch the map, right? Don't watch the captain's eyes. If you really want to know where the boat's going, you look at the boat. And a good captain watches his boat. He knows his keel. He knows where he's going. And until then, we end up lost because we're looking for the appetite of electricity that seems to taste the best. We don't truly know ourselves. And most of us don't know ourselves. And it's not because they kept us down. It's because we have not been illuminated yet. Our roots have not sprouted up. We have not sprouted to reach for the light. And once we do come up, we sprout buds and they light the fuck up. They light up. And that's coming for all of us, whether we wanted to or not. I call this the Golden Dawn. I call this the Great Awakening. I call it the best apocalypse ever. It doesn't matter what you call it because it's happening anyway. And you see it. You've seen it since Building 7. Fuck, you've seen it since Zapruder and Kennedy. You've seen it. And as your aperture opens, you're able to see things that you weren't able to see before. Things that when you were younger, you wouldn't have been able to accept. Things that those around you right now, a lot of people you've grown up with, they're not able to accept certain things. And it's so uncomfortable with you, they get mad at you. They get angry at you. And people you haven't seen for 3 years start shitposting on your wall. And you're like, why is this person shitposting me? And you start to realize, they didn't have the balls. They didn't have the electricity to say that for the past 3 years. And so they pent it up. They created this hole. And then they become addicted to filling it. And this filling of holes really comes back to Babylon. The understanding the shape of a woman. It's the shape of a bull. That our emptiness, the pockets that we have inside of us, all of us have them. Stop pretending you don't. The pockets that you have inside you are literally a bag of holding. They're an abyss. They're an abyss that you are allowed to reach deep inside of and pull things out of that save your life, that change your life, that transmute everything. And you will not be able to pull things out of those holes if they're stuffed with the dildos of Babylon. It's not going to happen. And so we need to embrace these shapes. Embrace this abyss. And I think the last lesson we have to learn is how important abyss is. And that we're striving and pushing so far to fill that abyss as fast as we can that it doesn't matter if we're putting truth in the abyss. We will fill it with fodder. We will fill that abyss with total bullshit as long as we can get that hole filled. And that addiction to winning, that's what that is. That's Nike. That's Nike thwarting wisdom. It's victory thwarting wisdom. When you look at the Parthenia, when you see the statue of Athena, wisdom, she's distracted by a tiny Nike in her hand. And that when I say tiny, the Nike's about human size. Athena's like 4 stories tall, something like that, right? And she's holding Nike, and Nike has her entire attention. Nike's distracting her because Nike is crowning Athena. She's crowning Athena with the laurels of victory. Victory. And when you see that, people are like, oh, that's nice. That's lovely. But you're thwarting wisdom. You're taking the abyss of Babylon, B-A-B-A-Lon, and you're filling it with trash and calling it Babylon, Babylon, B-A-B-Y-L-O-N. And you could argue that that's part of the process. It is part of the process. I'm not going to argue. It's part of the process. Not all of us are supposed to honor our abyss. Not all of us can. In fact, it's a testament to those who do to notice how you're surrounded by so many that don't. It is. It's a testament to that. I got a personal message this morning from some guy who's been calling my friends' names on my posts, and he's under the impression that he's the good person for doing that. He's filling his abyss with that. And when it come back to the post that really bothered him, I posted an image of a billboard, just a billboard. And the billboard was, here's the 4 types of mask wearers. And the person without a mask is labeled as someone who doesn't care about anybody. And I captioned that with regurgitatives. That being nice is being good at regurgitatives, to regurgitate an order. And I know that when he gets mad, and after 3 years of not being able to confront me or say anything to me, I know that when he gets mad at that, I realize exactly what's happened. He's reached an electrical breach. That capacitor where he's tried to store that shit for years and years with me, that bag of holding that he kept sticking shit inside of, instead of just confronting me, is now full. It's gotten full, so full that the weight is too much, that he can't handle that weight. And he explodes. And when he does that, it shows me, finally, I did enough. It's not, his rebuke is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of my success. It means that it's working. It's working, it's working, it's working. The day that I do this work means every day someone else gets mad at me like that. It's true. It's true. And you pass a certain threshold where you realize that people getting mad at you is actually not, it's very similar to death. In other words, our approach to death. It's inevitable. Why not make it for something meaningful? Why not make it one of those convictions that you'll be buried with? Because that's all you get, right? When we die, all we get is convictions. That's all we get to choose. I have to give a special shout out to 813 Properties because you ordered at 11/19, which is pretty dope because you got the 11 in there, then you got the 19, and it's October 19th. I just have to say thank you for buying my book there. And Zev Lieberman, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Sorry, I shouldn't say people's names. You shouldn't know that I was going to do that. Too late now. That's what happens when we go live, right? I'll be careful. I'll be careful about that. So, illumination. I want this book to feel illuminating because I want to take out the sting of apocalypse. Apocalypse has such a bad sting to it. And I think that we can, I think we can heal that. It's not going to be for everybody, though. It's not. And that's what the book's about. It's here to tell you what the apocalypse is, why it's here, how it happens, what it means, And why your face is not going to burn off, your skin's not going to melt, you're not going to be plagued by a trillion bees. And more importantly, it's showing you what's truly important here in Dojo Earth. It describes Dojo Earth. If anyone's like, well, what is this Dojo Earth stuff? It's a perfect way to do it, is with the book. But try not to turn this into a book commercial. Although if you buy my book, you could. There's the link. Here's another one. I'm not trying to turn this into a book commercial. You can buy my book right now, pre-order, by following that link right there on the stream. It's 2020. And I think because of the reaping, it becomes our responsibility to just put all our cards on the table. You're not trying to win. You're not trying to beat someone. You're trying to apocalypse yourself. I would like for you to apocalypse yourself. To uncover yourself now. Because the more we uncover ourselves, the more everyone who's covered around us feels really, 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 really weird and uncomfortable. That uncomfortable thing is only going to be here for a little bit. Once this passes, once everything normalizes, it's gone. Chris Edwards, Christ was definitely illuminated. In fact, if you read my book, I've quoted in Revelation, the chapters, it's also in Matthew, where he says that. Not only says that, but he shows that. Yeah, we're going to work on that, Guy Bear. I'm not going to say it right now, but we are. We're going to work on that. It's definitely coming. Because now, with all the recording equipment we have, and we seem to be better at this, I think it'll work out great. So yeah. In fact, the last chapter is Revelation. It actually explains how Revelation got here. That book, Revelation, is crucial. You've been shown that book for a reason. In fact, I'd like for you to consider that propaganda, the ability to spread propaganda, is always a matter of paint, right? Because history is graffiti. Information is graffiti. The dude with the biggest can wins. They win every time. And why would that be different 2,000 years ago? Why would that be different 3,000 years ago than it is today? What if it's exactly the same? That tells you something, doesn't it? It tells you that if you wanted to install an idea in as many people's minds as possible, you could do that, but you need a lot of exposure. You need media exposure. Right now, media exposure is, well, we have to buy ads on every single television show. And if we had a free market, that would be impossible. What I mean is if we had a free broadcasting market, the broadcasting market is controlled by the government, by the way, that if we had an open air broadcasting market, I would argue that it would be impossible to buy an ad on every show. It would be impossible to buy that because there would be too many shows. There would be too many people like James True that they would have to contact separately and say, I would like to buy an ad where I'm telling everybody that 19 box cutters broke down, attacked this building that was a planned demolition site. And the ad I'd like to buy on your show, James, is 30 minutes long. And I'm like, whoa. Want to buy a 30-minute ad? Yeah. 30-minute ad. You mean like an infomercial? Yeah. I'm like, well, okay, well, I mean, they need to put like a disclaimer or something up on the screen. They're like, absolutely not. No. In fact, we have our own disclaimer. You can put that on there. And you're like, well, what's your disclaimer? I'm like, news. We're calling this infomercial news. News, huh? Yeah. Yeah, it's news. Well, it'll be down there at the bottom, so people won't know that it's you. They'll know it's news. And you'd have to sell this idea to every single independent producer that's out there. And some people would love it, right? Anyone who's into fear would love it. They'd be like, oh God, yeah, I love this fucking shit. Yeah, right? Anyone into whatever the genre is of the propaganda is going to jump on that. They're going to fucking love it. And there's a reason why you can't do that. There's a reason. I'm sorry. Let me explain what I mean. There's a reason why it's not impossible to do that. There's a reason why all broadcast media has been self-assembled into 5 corporations. Which means if you want to submit propaganda to every single person that sees something, you only have to go through 5 corporations. Isn't that interesting? Because the hidden hand has 5 fingers. Isn't that interesting? In one way, you can send out all the words to shut down the entire world, right? As Richard from Boston says, words shut down the world, and it did. And those words went through 5 fingers. 2,000, 3,000 years ago, how would you do that? You'd have to go through the churches. You'd have to. And you couldn't have all these separate churches. You'd need a centralized religion to distribute that. You'd need scripture. You'd need countless copies of scripture over and over and over again. And each scripture would argue with itself in very, very tiny, minute details. So tiny that anyone arguing over the scripture would still agree on the basic tenets of what's saying it. But they would spend their entire academic lives arguing over other people, over which nuance, which little tiny nuance was the accurate answer. And when you stand back at Trent or Nicaea, you stand back and you look at these councils, you see that's truly what was happening, that both sides were given the same scripture from the same sources, from the AP and Reuters. From Q, source Q, right? Source B, source A. There's like A through F, and then there's Q, and there's all these other different letters, and they're all analyzing different scripture that says the exact same thing. How did we get covered with scripture that says the exact same thing? Well, because God put it there. Because God carved the way for scripture to be found everywhere, James. Of course, you dumbass. Don't you know that? And we pushed God into this abyss. We've said, no, the only way God would reach you, Bob, or Jane, or Doug, is he would go through 17,000 middlemen to get to you, Bob. That the way God would talk to you, the way God would give you a book of rules that he wanted you to follow, is he would have to go back through a back door 3,000 years ago into the abyss of monks and whisper into the monks' ears at night over candlelight so that they would write it down and die in a Latin language that no one could see. And that someone else would be able to hoard that data, change it, pull things out, restructure it, burn it, whatever, bury it in caves, and assemble it, and keep it in Latin where no one else can read it. This was how God do it. God was like, this is how I'm going to talk to Bob. This is how I'm going to install my rule book on Bob. They go way back. And anyone who doesn't see it while the monks are writing it, fuck them. They missed it. Too bad. That's what they get for being born early, right? And we end up where we are today, where we believe in white hats in Washington, right? Where we believe that luminaries are butt sex. Where we're so fucking terrified that we're living out of our car. Because we're convinced that the Luciferian pedophile Satanists are having sex with babies, burning them while they plot how to convince us that if they could just give us 73 vaccines, that the 73rd vaccine will somehow magically be the ones that bring us down. But until then, we are just so clever that the 72 vaccines aren't getting us. That the education isn't dumbing us down. That the food isn't destroying us. That the medicine isn't warping us all. And seeing through that vector of victimhood is so sexy. And I'm telling you, if you read this book, you're going to find that it's not. And you're going to find a better way to see it. I cannot, I'm not in the business of trying to get you to stop believing something. It never works. I've even tried that. I've tried to get you to stop believing in government. It doesn't work. I can get you to consider believing in the land instead. I can talk to people and suggest, hey, have you considered maybe moving your belief from government over to the soil? And that plays, that works. People are into that. When I say into it, they still resist, but I'm getting somewhere. I'm getting progress out of that vein. And when you drop I can't just have you drop the victimhood. I have to show you the empowerment, the electrical profit that you get by dropping the victimhood. And it's beautiful. You're going to love it. It changes your entire spectrum. It changes everything because you can now look at the electricity. I could see my friend Christopher, who got so pissed off because I posted a billboard that told people, that was talking shit about people that didn't wear masks. I can post that stuff because I understand the electricity of underneath it. And when Christopher goes off like that, he starts talking about masturbating on my wall, I realize that this isn't personal. I realize this is a man that's been broken. He's been broken by the victimhood so long that he can't take it anymore. That me pushing him is encouraging him to do something about it. And he's finally speaking up. And Chris's next move, it won't be with James True around because I'm gone in his eyes. But his next move will be to stand up. And I'll never get credit, and that's fine. I won't get credit the same way Kali never gets credit. Right? Kali places herself in the mask because she knows if she terrifies you, you'll move. She understands the importance of dilation. This is the best apocalypse ever. And if you want to know what's coming, it's going to be directly proportional to the amount you illuminate. That your illumination itself is going to determine your future. Nothing else will. More important than government right now, the person that holds more power and responsibility over you than government is you. You. And this rapture, this mitosis with the mostest, whatever you want to call what's happening to us, is giving you a golden opportunity. And you're going to seize it whether you want to or not. Because mitosis is a complete separation, right? Your cell is whole. And mitosis. Now you've got your wheat and your chaff. You've got them both. You're going in one of these, guys. All of us are going in one of these. You can pick. And the book gives you those options. There's actually 3 options in the book. I won't talk about it now, but there's actually 3 options there that show you that. Let's do some grievances. Oh, shit. Sorry. Thank you. Sorry about that. My grievance is that I don't know yet where to go to camp for Flatoberfest. Belief is not an enemy. If you email Brent Shineman at gmail.com, we might have a spot for you, my friend. Belief is not an enemy. Brent, BRENTSCHENEMAN at gmail.com. We might have a spot there. The burning tongue. Thank you. Agree the mute button. Sorry, guys. I know it's back on now. We're good now. Yeah, this is fun. I bet it's fun watching me. The silence of James. I'm sorry, y'all. I do not love doing this to you, Gregory. You would think that this would sting enough now. But yeah. Sorry about that. James does his throat singing with mic off. That's right. Hey, whatever I can do to help you out. I emailed Brent, hadn't responded yet. I bet you he will now. How about you, James@jtrue.com. All right. I got you hooked up, Leaf. Don't worry. Yeah, guys, next week, don't worry, we'll look for grievances. Whoops. Damn, wrong button. Next week. Flatoberfest. Next week, Saturday. I go on at 5:30. I go on before the amazing, talented Bob Modell of Globebusters fame. Jason Lingard's going to be there before me. It's going to be off the hook. You guys need to come check it out. You need to come to Flatoberfest. It's going to be great. In fact, there's all kinds of activities happening that weekend. I highly, highly recommend it. I'm not cussing you out, Bill. I might do that with the mic on. Actually, you've seen me do that with the mic on. So yeah, that's definitely right. It is a rookie mistake. I know. And yeah. I cannot stream it for you, Guy Bear. I'm going to be busy on stage. You know that. But I am hoping to get a recording of it. Yeah, I am hoping to get a recording of it because I need to critique myself. I don't know how well I do on stage. This will be the first time. So my grievance, I can't be there. That's a good grievance. We'd love to have you there. Yeah, good grievance about the sound. Definitely agree. That's a good grievance. Right on, picking up Nancy and Jeremy. That's great news. Thank you, Star. Can't wait. That's great. I think all of us have gravy, Willow. All of us do. Yes, I am doing a 5-book deal, Scasey. In fact, Rebecca told me that, and I just didn't get it put in the form before this. But right after the show, if you watch, you will see that. It is right there. Owen promotes Styx now. Guess he's cool with Satanists after all. I don't know if Styx is Satanist. Just didn't like James stealing his gravy boat. Yeah, I stole all that gravy from Owen. It's amazing. Don't have sex with women. That's homosexual. I'm definitely going to record it. Definitely. I'd come, but I'd rather not get divorced. That's a good, you know what? I hope that she sees your sacrifice, Joe Mega. I hope that she sees that sacrifice. If she sees that sacrifice, that's a tricky. If she sees that sacrifice, you might be able to milk that, Grievance, I can't go to a Flatoberfest, but I wish you all the best. I bet it'll be awesome. It's already going to be awesome. It's going to be fantastic. In fact, any of you patrons, I've got some big news for you, for patrons. So if you can make the dojo today, great. If not, don't worry. I'll post a post so you'll know it. But big news for this weekend if you're a patron. If you're not a patron, you can join us. Talk about a great way to push that. But yeah, you can join my Patreon right now. If you look in the show notes, thanks to my patrons, I don't have to worry about people telling everybody how bad I am. I could just keep doing my show. My grievance is my family thinks I will need to quarantine for 2 weeks after Flatoberfest. Yeah. I tell you, Sue, things are really looking good on the mask front. And that guy, Christopher, I was mentioning earlier, him freaking out on me today was a good sign. It's a good sign because he freaked out over the word regurgitate. In other words, what freaked him out was me suggesting that by putting on a mask, you're regurgitating something. That really steamed him. And do you know why it steamed him? Do you want to know why it steamed him? Because it's true. Yeah, it's true. We're telling each other that virtue is regurgitation. Yeah, that's what we're telling each other. Hey, if you regurgitated something, everyone here is going to think you're nice. No way. Yeah. Yeah, what do I have to regurgitate? Just whatever the speaker says. You'll notice that when you're around the office cooler on Monday morning, you'll notice this. People are rewarded for their ability to regurgitate what was on the news. It's true that people will listen to you regurgitate what's on the news. And if you get one fact wrong, they will correct you. And everyone will nod and go, oh, yeah, that is correct. You were wrong. That's okay. And you notice that what the speakers in the trees give us is a regurgitation contest every day. Every day it's another contest on, okay, who wants to regurgitate what you heard yesterday? And everyone's like, me. Can you believe the outrage over this? And the only way they could sell you on that is with the salaciousness, right? It's the only way that they could get this going. Guys, they've been doing this a while. Don't you think it's strange that every time one of the shuttles or one of the Saturn rockets, one of the 32 Saturn rockets, just ironically, there are 32 profane orders of masonry before you get into the non-profane. 32 Saturn rockets, every one of them lands right in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle. Isn't it weird that we spent all this time telling us about the Bermuda Triangle, and that just happens to be where the worst possible things that happen, according to what they've told us with the Bermuda Triangle, is exactly where NASA thinks they should launch their rockets over. And SpaceX too? That the landing platform itself is inside the Bermuda Triangle. That doesn't bother anybody, right? No one? No one? Yeah. Guys, this is on the science page, all right? What I'm about to show you is on the science page, all right? Science page. In Interstellar, on the water planet, the soundtrack in the background has a prominent ticking noise. These ticks happen every 1.25 seconds. Each tick you hear is a whole day passing on Earth. And this is science to them. Guys, this is not a fluke, okay? Do not tell me that this meme, should be mem, is a fluke. You can't tell me that because they do this every day. In fact, if you look in the comments of this, it's insane because they're arguing over this. They're arguing over this. And I made a comment saying, this is why you guys fell for the moon. Because there's no difference between science and fiction. They have blurred those lines. Science fictionism, scientism. Science fictionism, scientism. And that salaciousness is how you sell. That's why they tell you diamonds are on the Neptune, right? All the rockets land in the Bermuda Triangle. How fucking convenient is that? And we don't see this yet. You know what? Let me show you this first. Shit like this.
Some people look to the stars and ask, what if? Our job is to have an answer. We have to imagine what will be imagined. Plan for what's possible, but is still impossible. Maybe you weren't put here just to ask the questions. Maybe you were put here to be the answer. Maybe your purpose on this planet isn't on this planet.
Unless you're living in it, you don't fully understand how bad the propaganda goes. Excuse me, sorry. The amount of money they spend on these things is so large that it's part of the camouflage. It's so expensive, there's no frickin' way they would make this up. Too much money's been spent, James. Too much money. And the Manhattan Project, multi-trillion-dollar project in today's money. 50,000 employees. No, 200,000 employees. 200,000 employees. Not one of them knew what was happening. Not one. It was the first experiment in compartmentalization. And the guy, Vannevar Bush, no relation, who started that project, he founded the National Science Foundation. And every year, $12 billion is allocated from your taxes to certain specific science projects that win grant money from the government. The NASA sea level rise, which was a hoax. There was a National Science Foundation project. Global warming. Every single piece of global warming propaganda you've heard every year has been inspired by the propaganda budget of the National Science Foundation. Scripture. This is scripture, guys. And because it's happening right now in front of us, we don't understand that the scripture is being laid out and pushed because we know we'll buy into it. And all it takes is National Science Foundation. All it takes is a bucket of cash dumped that says anyone who believes with this gets to have money from this bucket. That's what it means. If you believe in global warming and you can prove it on a sheet of paper, you can have money out of this bucket. And that's what they give us every year. And it's so hard to imagine that it's happening now. You can only grasp it if you look at how it's happened in the past. It's just easier to grasp that way. But it's happening now. And it's so big, it has to be big, guys. That's what makes it work, is how big it is. And right now, CERN hopes to start building another Hadron Collider, replacing the one that they just built that could smash together particles with vastly more force. And it's because of the scientism, the science fiction that we believed, that bought into the first one, that another one, an $18 billion one, that's 22 billion in dollars, has already been slated for the next one to come. And these aren't the only colliders, guys. They're all over the world. And we believe it because they have a bottleneck. The space program has a bottleneck. You and I cannot go above 50,000 feet. An electron microscope is a bottleneck. You can't even see an electron move. You can only take a picture of what you think it might be. You can't see an electron move. We do not even have the ability. And these people are telling you that if you give them enough money, they will find you particles that are even smaller. And you will only be able to read their math to prove it. It's the only litmus that they have. And you create an abyss like any black magician would do. You create an abyss and you pull trillions of dollars out of it over and over and over again. And you make the penalty so bad that no one would dare question it. Because to question that is to question science. What do you think I believe in science means? Do you think that means I prescribe to the scientific method? No, I believe in science. I trust the science. You think those words are accidents? Or can we truly understand that this is religion now? That this is religion. You're watching a
Some people look to the stars
religion.
and ask, what if? Our job is to have an answer.
Those are vestments.
We have to imagine what will be imagined. Plan for what's possible, while it's still impossible. Maybe you weren't put here just to ask the questions. Maybe you were put here to be the answer. Maybe your purpose on this planet isn't on this planet.
Fuck. God, how long has it been off? Holy shit. Ugh. Yeah, I think I will finish the show on mute. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just going to end the show. Fuck. Thanks, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. There was a dojo today. Nicholas Falehla is modding. Man, I'm sorry about that. We're gonna fix that. Yeah. We're gonna fix that right now. And yep. God, I hope I get better at this. I can't paste that link, but it is in here for some reason. We'll see you guys later. Sorry for blowing the show today. But I appreciate you being here. And yeah. Till next time. Have a good day.
In a city full of sounds, I know my way around. We are of the same kind. Endangered species hard to find. I'll give you some lone time. I need to go catch a high tide. 'Cause I don't feel free. So I'm letting you know where I want to be. Driving by the shore, listening to a broken radio. Skyline neon lights are waking up the rangers of the night. Designated life. Feel the cold wind on my face. It's all around but leaves no trace. This is where I wanna be. I'm skipping stones into the sea. I'll give you some lone time. I need to go catch a high tide. 'Cause I don't feel free. So I'm letting you know where I want to be. Driving by the shore, listening to a broken radio. Skyline neon lights are waking up the rangers of the night. Designated life. Driving by the shore. Skyline neon lights. Designated life.
I'm gonna remember mute. I just don't know how. I don't know how to remember that. I keep trying, but I don't know how. I don't know how. It's my vitriol,